It is day 9 of 100 Days, 100 Emotions. Amy Thurman back again with day 9, authenticity. Today we're talking about authenticity. And oh my goodness, my special guest and I, we literally could talk about this for days because, oh my, so many things that we could share with you. So excited to share with you. Want you to know, reminder, if you're just tuning in, you haven't seen any of the others yet, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're watching. People have been telling me, the comments I have been receiving are, how are you doing this? Like, how are you committing to 100 days of this? I have a lot of health issues, but beside the fact, how are you committing to this? And it's one of those things that I just feel like it's time to share it. Like, I have to get this out. I was at a networking event today and I was just sharing what I'm doing. And I said, my whole mission is to help people. And her comment to me was, she said, it's radiating from you. She said, I literally can see it radiating from you. And so that touched me so deeply because it just confirms what I'm doing, that it's the right time, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so we're here to doing this to help people. So I hope you find it helpful. And remember too, that I don't know the stories that they're going to share. I like to be in the moment. I like to hear it first time right along with you. So that's exciting for me too. So, all right, let's get on with this. My special guest today is, let me introduce her and pop her up here. Megs, she goes by Megs, but it's Megan Gibson and another person from Australia. I have had two people from Australia 2 days in a row. What the odds of that, right? So exciting. But let me tell you, Megs, she has a podcast. She interviewed me for her podcast and we just connected. Like, we are so aligned on so many things and in so many areas. We could talk and talk forever about this. And so I knew that I had to get her on here, that she had to be one of our guests, because I know that she can talk so deeply about this. And so welcome, Megan. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited about this one.
You're welcome. I said Megan once and Megan once and Megs. So just
you're
going
all
by
over
all
it.
of it.
I mean, I go by many things, so.
We're doing it all today. Okay, one of each. Okay, so we're talking about authenticity. And one of the things I really like to bring out in this series is how it feels. Like, my whole point is recognizing how it feels in the body so that you know what it feels like. So then once you know what that feels like, you can then learn from it. We can make adjustments if we need to, or like with authenticity, this is one of those that we consider positive, that we want more of in our bodies. And so it will be more about how we can incorporate more of that. Whereas the negative ones, we want to switch those and make them into something more positive. And so I think with the text today, let me just share this, that authenticity is like a sense of alignment between your inner self and your outer expression, being true to yourself, a quiet confidence that resonates within, a feeling of liberation, sharing your genuine self. And before I ask Megan to share her story, I want to just share something real quickly with you about something recently that happened in my life that is a perfect example of this authenticity. I had someone offer me a really great, generous, there's the word, generous offer of something that I just happened to be pretty good at. I so wanted to do it. I wanted to work with this person so badly. I wanted to learn from her. I wanted to help her. But in my heart, I knew if I did that I would not be able to do this or do the things that I knew that I was supposed to do or be authentic to myself. And so as hard as it was for me, it's something that I wanted to do, that I'm pretty good at. I had to say no, because I knew in my heart that would not be authentically me, that although I could do what she was asking me to do, I wouldn't be able to do what this says. My inner self and my outer expression wouldn't be in cohesion. And so I had to make that hard choice, that to say no. And that's one of the things I want to bring up too, is that just because we have an opportunity and we can do it and we're presented with something, doesn't mean we make that choice, doesn't mean we accept that. And so I don't know, Megan, if that helps you at all or that resonates with you. But that's one way recently that I had to choose authenticity in my life I had to make a hard choice. And I'm so glad I did, because it's allowing me to do this and to reach more people and be able to help more people and to spread the mission that I feel like I'm supposed to spread. So if you have anything to add to that, or you can just take it away, whatever you would like to share, I'm so eager to hear what you have to share.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that you could recognize that, because so many of us end up doing what we think we should do instead of what we really feel like doing and what
Yeah,
feels like is really us. So yeah, I guess want to honor you and acknowledge you for that. I
thank
have so
you.
many stories that I could share right now that I have been thinking all morning which one is going to feel like the right one to share. And I think that I love what you're doing, because our feelings are our biggest like guiders, I think. We if we ignore the feeling in the body and we take action, by the time it's in our mind and we're consciously aware of it, we could be dealing with a situation that's not right, like you're saying. So it's really important what you're doing. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
I could share a really light one around work, but I feel compelled to share one that's a little deeper so that this really hits the place that you're wanting it to hit. And it's also something that I'm really passionate about personally, which is my relationships. So I found myself at 40, single after 28 years. And I had to really rediscover who I was and my sense of self
Mm,
without having a partner, without relating to somebody on a daily basis within a relationship. And that's not something that I ever had to do. Uh, I was 15 when I started that relationship, so I was barely even close to being an adult. So it was my first time at 40, well, just over 40. And I obviously started, doing that inner self work that we do to uncover that. And then what you do once you've done that is you start to try that on, right? You start to try and relate to new people, or to show up as that new version or that rediscovered version. And it's not always comfortable because it's new. Yeah. And
yes.
so I found myself in a number of, well, I found myself in the dating world. Let's go into that. And it's not that I had a number of offers, and I did go on dates, and I got to know new people, and I found myself in a relationship with somebody who uh, showed me another version of myself that I didn't know, which was a good thing,
Yeah.
and who allowed me to kind of, explore this new time, right? This new thing that I hadn't been through before. Now, fast forward a couple of months, what I found was that we weren't necessarily aligned in where we wanted this to go, and then, what we want, the vision that we had for
Mm,
for this. And what I did was I wanted the relationship more than I wanted to pay attention to how it was making me feel. And so
mm,
for a period of time, I really settled into that relationship and allowed it to continue. And I had to really be honest with myself at one point, because I knew that it wasn't right. I could feel it in my body. And as much as, I wasn't unhappy, which is where I think we get stuck, because authenticity, when you're not being you, or when you're settling for something that isn't really what you want or in alignment with what matters to you, you're being inauthentic, which means you're
yes.
showing up inauthentic, which means your behavior is inauthentic. And therefore, if someone is going to fall in love with you, they're not falling in love with you. They're
Yes.
falling in love with who you're pretending to be or who you're showing up as. And so fast forward. Fast forward, I ended that relationship. Well, that relationship became a friendship because it's not like there was no depth to it. That relationship became a friendship, which I'm thankful for. And I found myself back out there again in this single life, learning how to, be better at that. And what I decided was that I was going to be by myself until I could be happy there and really, really have a very, very clear understanding of what it is that I would accept and what I wouldn't accept. I thought I knew that, but you don't really know it until you've been there. And
Yeah.
so a year ago, almost to the week, I met someone who met me. And the reason they met me is because I was being authentic. So I've showed up as who I really am. I showed up as everything I am, no holds bars, completely vulnerable, prepared for it to go nowhere or go somewhere amazing. And thankfully it has. So the difference in how I feel now compared to how I felt then is ridiculous. Like I don't, it's so easy and it's so freeing. Like I don't have to think about how I want to be. I don't have to be anything other than me. And here's the really amazing thing the point that I wanted to drive home with this story is that so does he. When we are authentic, when we show up that way, other people can feel it. And what it does is it gives them permission to show you who they really are as well. So when you have two people and he had a very similar thought process at that time in his life as well. It's like, rather be alone than be with the wrong person. Was a little bit more blunt, but still 100% how I was feeling. And so when I showed up that way, he immediately mirrored that. I know you'll love that with your business name, but he immediately mirrored that. And so then we really met, and we started there. And so there's none of this kind of like trying to get them to like you or trying to get them to love you or trying to be anything other than who you are. And I cannot tell you, though, the momentum in our relationship, people who know us think that it's really quick. We feel like we've known each other forever because there's nothing in the way of us being ourselves. And so it's just easy and it's just natural and we just want more of it. And so we've found ourselves where we are now, like really quickly, because there's nothing in the way. We're just 100% authentically us.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that you said that he met you. Oh, that's so good because you were just being you. You were doing you, and he met you where you were, and the whole thing developed from there. It's so true that we have to be authentic with ourselves before we can be authentic with other people. And I was talking to one of my Senna sisters the other day, one of my business partners, and was just saying, it's about being authentic. And her response to me was, but I don't know what that is. She said, I've been pretending for so long. I don't really know what being authentic for me is. And that took me aback because I used to live in that, but now that I'm on the other side of it, I forget what it's like to be in that you're constantly trying to be someone that everybody else wants you to be or that everybody else expects you to be, that you don't really know who you want yourself to be. And so that's a tricky place to be. Do you have can you speak to that for just a second?
Yeah, I sure can.
I knew you could. I knew you would.
Well, in the earlier part of my adulthood, as I was coming into my own, like even as a child, I could go way back to the beginning, to be honest. Like I was the ultimate people pleaser. I wanted people around me to be happy. It started out with people like, that care, are my main caregivers and my siblings. Like I wanted them to be happy. I wanted the adults in my life to be happy with me. And so I was like this good girl. And then that transpired into my schooling as well. Like I never stepped out of line. I always did what it was expected of me. I never, that robbed me of a lot of things because I didn't, push the boundaries really. And I never really did. And so when I got into a like my relationship, I was so afraid of that not working out. And there's a very good reason for that. And we don't have time to dig into my childhood. But like I was so worried about that not working out that I did everything to try and make sure that it was easy for them, for him, that it was easy for everyone else. And I never really knew I needed. Therefore, I could never really express what I needed. And therefore, it's not that he did anything wrong. It's just that it's really on me. Like I didn't know what I didn't know about me. And so how can someone love you if they don't even know you, really? So they love this version of you that you reach a point where you have to make a choice between, am I going to keep being that? And it's exhausting, first and foremost, to try and uphold something that you've held for so long. And when you have that realization, that moment, you're like, wait a minute. Like I did a lot of sort of work around kind of bringing that to the surface. And I'm saying, once you do know something, you can't unknow it.
Yes.
And so, rediscovering that was a massive, massive journey. I hope that answered your question. But yeah, I definitely can understand how if you spend your whole life being something you're not, that it is going to be a very big discovery to go through. And most people are not going to be able to do it on their own. Like I didn't do that on my own. I definitely have done it and have recreated or my life that is now in alignment with that. So I'm helping other people do the same thing. And I think the very first thing that we have to do is uncover what we don't know about ourselves. And some of that is what's important, and some of that is things that we need to let go.
That is so good. Oh my goodness. So many good points there. I do want to point out that what you said about sometimes you can't do it on your own. It's not something that you can just walk through on your own because number one, we don't know how to. We've never done it before. It's not like we come into this life knowing how to do that. And number two, like my friend said, she didn't really know what authenticity is for her. And so I think as far as like steps that you can take away with you today, first of all, realizing if you're feeling inauthentic, like, am I trying to please everyone else except myself? And if so, what's the reason for that? Is it because I'm afraid of their response? Is it because I'm afraid they won't like me? Or is it because I don't really know who I am authentically to be able to become that person? So it's kind of identifying that first and then going from there. So I would say that's the first step.
Yes.
And then, do you have anything else to add to that?
Totally. Like that is the first step. And I think it's all of those things together combined. I think the very first step is the recognizing it. And the next step is just owning it and owning the repercussions of that as well. And this is the hardest part because you're now faced with a choice between staying there or doing the work and cleaning up, for want of a better way of putting it, what's happened or what you've created that holds that in place. Because if you're going to move through that and move away from that into what's true, there's going to be a decluttering, I like to call it, but like the shedding of what's not real. And that's not always going to feel good. And unfortunately, what I find is that people step back from that feeling. And I know that the rest of these 100 days is going to help with that. But those feelings come up. But like, yeah, I feel like the first step is what you said. The second step is like owning it. owning it and choosing you would be the third one.
Mm,
Choosing you after that.
so good. And it's so true. It takes work. It's not something that's going to be easy. I mean, don't come into this thinking, oh, this is going to be a simple thing. It's not. It's not going to be easy, but it's easier to stay where you are, but it's not comfortable. Like you're going to
Correct.
be
Yeah.
much more happy on the other end when you go through the process. You have to go through it. There's a reason that we say to people, I'm so sorry you're going through that, because that's what it takes for us to get to the other side. We don't
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm so sorry you're going around that or over that or above
No,
or
we do
beneath that,
not.
because we don't. We have to go through it to be able to
Yep.
get to the other side, to the place that we want to be, to live the life that we want to live. And so I always say, I think everybody needs a therapist. I don't care who you are, I don't care what your life is. Everybody could benefit from having a therapist just to help walk you through whatever you're dealing with in life, because we're all dealing with something, you know? And so
Yeah.
that would be my advice for sure. I do want to leave everybody. We're going to look at the image here in just a second, but I have decided to add a question now to these episodes, because I want them to be more helpful, and I think they're more helpful when you can think on your own. If I can give you a question to ponder, and if you feel comfortable, I would love for you to share the answer to your question in the comments so that we can all learn from each other. This is not about everybody learning from me. My whole purpose is that we can all learn from each other. I want to pull people together so that we can learn from each other's experiences. That's another reason I'm having special guests, so that we're all in this together. We're all in this together. Okay, so our question is, what helps you stay true to yourself? And that's a huge part of being authentic, is staying true to yourself. Excuse me, staying true to who you are. If you would like to address that, Megan, I would love for you to.
Yeah. What helps me stay true to
Yes,
myself?
yes. Take a drink.
What helps me stay true to myself is keeping what's important to me front of mind.
Mm,
So when we can language the things that mean the most to us, they become tangible, they become real, and then we can intentionally make choices that are in alignment with those things. So what can happen is that we can uncover that, and then we forget about it. So keeping those things front of mind. I don't know if you could see just over my shoulder there, that little frame on my desk behind
yeah,
me.
I see it.
That has my values, and it has my vision, and it has my purpose, and all the work that I've done to uncover and language the things that are important to me. I've written down on there, and I see it every day. And so I keep those things front of mind. And that's what helps me stay true to myself.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh, what a good process to go through, because you have to deal with everything to be able to get it out onto a paper like that to be able to display. Oh, such a good process. With me, it's more about being aware of that little feeling I get in the pit of my stomach that tells me something's not right here. And we all have that, but a lot of us choose to ignore it or don't really know what it means. And so I've done enough introspective work to know, as soon as I feel that feeling, that okay, something's telling me something's not right about this. And so I've learned to listen to that little feeling, and that's how I stay true to myself. And I would love to know how you stay true to yourself, or if you're struggling with that, please tell us that too. Maybe someone on here can help you, give you ideas or suggestions of things that we do that might help you. So I hope that's helpful for you. Before we get Megan's website, and see how you can contact her, if you have watched any of these, I have an AI image generator. And so I ask it to create an image for me that represents the feeling of authenticity. And this is what it produced. It's pretty wild. I tell you what, I love this thing so much. I'm going to pop it up on the screen, then I'll full screen it. We can chat about it for just a second, because it's so interesting to me. Full screen it there. Look at this. Okay, this is what it generated when I ask it, tell me something that represents the feeling of authenticity. And I instantly look at the middle, like everything around it has this bulb or round shape. What's in the middle? Like it's more pointed. It's totally different than everything around it. This is what popped into my head first. You may see something else, Megs, but just like I don't care what's around me. I don't care what everything else looks like. I don't care what everything is around me. I'm going to be what I'm going to be, and I'm a pointed object. I'm not round, you know? So that's what jumped out at me first. Do you see anything different?
Oh gosh, there's so much going on there.
I know.
Um, I think that, yeah, I don't know. I'd have
Yeah.
to contemplate that a little bit longer to come up with anything profound.
No, no worries.
I do love the it feels very fluid to me. Like we're a lot of
Mm,
things that fit together to make something really beautiful. We're not one thing. And we're always
mm.
changing, like that water at the bottom that's kind of flowing. Like it looks like water to me, but it's kind of flowing and that fluidity. And I think that our sense of self over time, what we're trying to stay authentic to, does actually change and evolve. It's not static. We're not static. We're not the same as we were 10 years ago, and we won't be the same in 10 years' time because we have experiences. So I feel like that picture I'm just channeling this now as I'm thinking about it. I
No, it's
feel like that
great.
picture kind of, it's showing that there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that make up who we are and that they don't stay the same. And so
Yeah.
in order to be authentic, we have to be comfortable with that fluidity. And do you know what I mean? Like we can't
Yes,
try and stay the same because nothing stays the same. The only thing guaranteed, well, there's a couple of things, change and death are the only two things guaranteed in life, you know?
exactly.
So
Yes,
we've got to be able to
exactly.
move with it. That's kind of what I got when I saw it without really
Oh,
thinking about it.
no, I love that. It's so, so true because it's not the same. Like we can stay the same, but that's not going to be a comfortable, happy place to be. We have to be evolving with the things that are happening in our world. And so, oh, that's so, so good. Okay, so let's wrap this up. It's been so good. Oh my gosh, I knew that you would kill it because you just do. Like you're just an amazing human. I could just chat with you all day long.
Thank
So
you.
tell me before we get off here, tell them a little bit about what you do and how they can get a hold of you.
So I help women mainly. I'm not opposed to helping men, but I know that women resonate with me and my journey. So I help women over 40 go through that transition that we were just talking about. So, not necessarily the end of a relationship, but it could be just that their children are growing up or that they've, been had a massive life change. And we tend to, out of my experience over the last 8 years, that's when people tend to have them, is when we're kind of coming into that second half of our life. Help them figure out what's next. And the way that I do that is by helping them rediscover who they are and regain a sense of self that feels real to them. So that actually creates a sense of freedom for them to step into that second chapter as their real self, as who they really are, and express it in a way that feels good and feels authentic, which is why I loved that I got to come and jam with you on this topic. So my business is called Freed to Be You, because that's what I believe is it's how we all want to feel. We want to feel free to be ourselves. But I know that the D in that, the freed, it happens on the other side of making that choice. And it happens
Mm.
on the other side. The freedom comes on the other side of choosing yourself. And so that's why it's called Freed to Be You. My podcast is also called Freed to Be You, where we have similar conversations to this one, really.
Yes, yes, so so good. Oh my goodness. So it so you help people transition pretty
I
much from
help
where
them
they
uncover who they are. Yeah.
yeah.
And put
Yeah.
language around that, like I was saying before. Make it tangible, make who you are real in the world, and show up and create and choose a life that's in alignment with that.
So good. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you saw the podcast episode that she allowed me to be on, but oh my goodness, it was so good. I loved chatting with you. Love your podcast. Love what you do. I will definitely link those. I will put I will tag your podcast interview, your business and your personal in the description. If you are on LinkedIn or YouTube, then I will put those in the comments section so that you can get a hold of her. And do you have a website they can go to?
I
Or
do. It's called Freed with a D, freedtobeyou.com. If you pretty much put Freed to be you in any platform, you'll come across me, except LinkedIn. You'll have to look for me.
okay, so freedtobeyou.com. I will also put that in the comments below so that you can reach out if you'd like to work with Megs. I'm sure she would love to work with you too. All right. Thank you again for being here. You over there in Australia.
Yeah, pleasure.
So glad we were able to connect and that you were able to help me talk about authenticity because I know it's your thing. I love this so much. And if you are interested in being a guest on this series, I would love to have you. I still have space for a lot of people. I'm looking to diversify. I don't want people that are like me. I want people who are different from me so that I can learn from them and learn what it's like in your world because I know what it's like in mine. I want to learn from you too. So please reach out to me if you would like to be a guest on here. We can find one of the emotions that applies to you, and we can have an amazing session just like this. So, all right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.